about deploying SAP and Cheney Brothers' digital journey in the food service distribution arena. Thanks, Joe. Okay, good.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so the Cheney story is pretty much typical story of a growing company, right? So by 2008, we pretty much figured out that our legacy system was no good. So it was time to move on to, to something else. And of course, that's a big challenge for any company. After reviewing several systems, that whole process took give or take about a year and a half. We decided on SAP. So we went ahead and implemented SAP, figured out the modules that we wanted. We originally wanted finance and HR first, and then move on into sales and distribution and purchasing and all the other modules. So the whole process of implementing SAP took about 2.5 years. Once we started figuring out, the difference between where we were coming from and where we were going, and learning more about SAP. So it took us about 2.5 years to go live, and we did. We went live August 2013, and fortunately, which is something you don't hear every day, all our trucks went out that night, on the first night. So pretty proud of that. Pretty big accomplishment. Pricing were not exactly what they should have been. Of course, we had a bunch of smaller glitches, but our customers got their products, which is important. And of course, from that moment on, we began the process of continuing learning more about SAP. All our users getting more acclimated with the system. Keep changes and all that, and then company keeps growing, so we keep adding more tools, more hardware. About a year and a half ago or so, we decided to migrate to HANA platform. It's a much better, I believe it is faster, better performance, better systems. So we are currently in that process of implementing HANA. We successfully implemented BW and BI, so that's already up and running, and we can see what the speed, the performance is. It's increased tremendously from what we had before. ECC is now our next step, which is probably by the end of July, we're going to be live on HANA. I'm currently in the process of also looking at hosted services, cloud. As our company keeps growing, I don't want to keep growing a farm of hardware. I want to be able to probably look for a partner that can do that for us, probably more affordable and better performance. So that in a nutshell is the Cheney story, and I'd love to take questions from you guys, and go from there.
So I'm going to jump in here. It was a privilege as part of SAP to be part of Joe's steering committee through the blueprinting phase, and I think Joe's a bit skittish to embellish on some of what's going on and pat himself on the back, but one of the things that occurred right during the implementation was they bought a company, right? So maybe you could share in that. And also there's a couple of slides here about actually who Cheney is. Many of you may have read in the press recently that some other food service distributors have decided to pull SAP and move on to something else. So one of the reasons we asked Joe to speak is, this is food service distribution signature processes, mission critical processes enabled by SAP. So maybe you could share a bit about how you acquired Barry and others.
Okay, thank you. All right, so through the process of blueprinting for our distribution upgrade, implementation actually of SAP, we purchased a manufacturing company. So that kind of put a little bit of stress on the implementation. We had to include that company as well. I myself believe that every time we acquire a company for our own sake, the best thing to do is to make sure that they run the same systems that we are running. So that's a mistake that other companies, in my opinion anyway, have made, to let other distribution companies that are acquired or manufacturing company running their own systems, and that creates the centralization and lack of understanding between the different businesses. So we avoid that simply by, there is no choice, we do it our way. That's it. We bought you, we implement our system. So that is my philosophy. I'm not saying that it's the best or the worst, it's the one that I abide to, and my team seems to enjoy it. So of course, now we have to go back and regroup and include manufacturing as well as distribution in our implementation. So of course we had to go back, and that took another 4 or 5 months before we were able to continue the implementation process. The good thing is we also learned how to implement manufacturing, and ever since we have acquired all the plants, that is actually paid off. So
So Joe, I've got a question for you, and then we'll ask this to the audience. So food distribution in South Florida is a seasonal business.
correct, for the most part.
And I look out in the audience and I see some folks that also have some seasonal businesses. So how did you implement SAP in an environment that's so seasonal?
Good question, Paul. So basically for us at Cheney, our window is between end of June and September. Middle of September, I run into trouble anytime I'm going to do something big after the last week of September or so. So basically, if I miss my window, I have to wait another year. So that's how we cope with that. And we did miss. We were originally planning to go live August 2012, and we weren't ready. So we were not ready probably by 2 or 3 months, which is, for other industries is no big deal, right? But unfortunately, we had to wait another year. And of course, once you do that, then other opportunities, like, hey, whatever we left off for phase 2, now let's include it on phase 1. So of course, implementation all of a sudden gets bigger. So here comes June 2013, and we have the same scenario we had a year before. So, we pretty much had to rush a little bit to be able to implement it, and successfully did it in August, second week of August 2013. So, obviously, even after you go live with any system, I would think there is a lot of tweaking, a lot of things that you have to learn, challenges that you have, users that you thought that they were ready, but they're not really that ready, and all kinds of other issues that I'm sure we're all familiar, those that have implemented systems are familiar with.
Does anybody in the audience have some questions they'd like to ask Joe?
Hi, Joe. Hey, can you talk about a little bit about when you added Punta Gorda, a new distribution center? What were some of the challenges and opportunities with that?
Okay, so Sandy from IBM, right? Still there? Awesome. Okay, so Sandy's talking about our latest distribution center that we added. It was like our third addition after the SAP implementation. So as far as implementing the system there, it was really not an issue, right? The issue is more about the users, the trainers, training the users, getting them acclimated with the SAP system. Anytime that you bring a new facility, and we have quite a few in the state of Florida now, we're running out of employees that want to migrate from one facility to the other. So basically, Punta Gorda, it's actually the first facility that probably 60% of our employees there are brand new employees. They've never worked with Cheney before, so they don't understand the Cheney tradition. The good thing is they inherit SAP, so it's great because they've never seen what the legacy system looked like. Like the old users and employees, they always compare both systems. So in that aspect, it was actually good to have fresh new employees. the challenges then become teaching them how to use your system and your culture. But as far as the system is concerned, it's beautiful once you have a platform such as SAP to add new facilities and new companies. It's actually a blessing in the sky compared to how we were doing in the old days with our legacy system. Thank you, Sandy.
Other questions?
Joe, you run Vistex as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you go live on Vistex in August 2013 simultaneously with SAP?
Yes, sir, we did. Vistex was honestly the reasoning behind purchasing SAP. That was the reason, the main reason. I fell in love with that system when I saw it. For those of you who don't know what Vistex is a chargeback deviation management system. If anybody in your industry, if you guys are dealing with that kind of challenge, Vistex is the product to see. And I'm not getting paid by Vistex. But yes, the answer is yes, we implemented it all together. Yeah.
Other questions? All right, so I've got one more. Don't want to put you on the spot. I'm not trying to take an order today, but future plans with just technology in general.
Okay, so technology obviously is always changing, right? So we keep looking at what works for us and what doesn't work for us. I believe very strongly that cloud computing presents a huge opportunity for companies such as ourselves. As you grow your company, obviously your need for hardware keeps on growing as well. Cloud computing is actually gives you a partnership on an area that is really not the core of our business. I want to be in the business of distributing food, not maintaining hardware. So at the rate that chain is going right now, obviously I will have no choice. I'm already there. So I believe, I'm not speaking from Cisco, but if I was in a situation such as US or Cisco in the distribution business, I will very seriously be looking at cloud services as well. I think that industry has been perfected. I think communication is good these days. You can get a fiber for nothing compared to the cost of a fiber line years ago. So it's no reason to be in that business. Whether or not it's profitable or not for a smaller company, I don't know. But I think for a mid-size to a large company, it makes sense. So that's one of the things we're doing. We're looking at, obviously, I'm always in the lookout for any SAP tools that we can use. BW, BI, analytics is a big thing for us as well. Data mining, we're doing a lot of work around that with the BI and the BW tools. And anything that SAP has not created yet, and I'm sure we can use in the future. So we'll keep an eye on that as well.
All right. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Joe.
All right.